Joshua David, having a good time in studio with my good friend and my great pal, Mr. Al Connickson. Al, we talk a lot about retirement plans and techniques and concepts that the smart money are utilizing, and some of the problems that come along with them managing the public money. Who has their best interest, right? The brokers, the financial, I guess, institutions, they want, I mean, they're doing what's best for them.
Sure.
That's their business, right? Now we're seeing more and more people understand and want to self-direct, like you were talking about in the last segment, and people want to be the best steward of their own money. They want to control their destiny. And part of the problem is there's a lot of fees that come along with brokers and advisors and having managed money. So there's some alternatives to mutual funds. I mean, we talk about mutual funds all the time and how devastating they can be in retirement plans. And a lot of that is because of the fees. So what are some of those? And you mentioned this earlier, these assets to trade. What are some of the alternatives that you talk about in these investing classes for mutual funds?
Yeah, one of the advantages that have been pushed with mutual funds is that, well, a couple of them. One is that you have diversification, and that is true. They are diversified, sometimes over-diversified, so not all of the holdings within a mutual fund are things that actually the mutual fund manager might want to have. It's just that they only can have a certain percent of any individual holding within their fund. When they reach that point, then they have to either start selling it or they can't invest in any more of it. They have to find other things to put their clients' money in. Some of those may actually be kind of a drag on the portfolio. So that's one thing. They push the diversification. There are other assets where you can be diversified. I mentioned futures, but also there's exchange traded funds, an ETF. That's similar to a mutual fund in that it is well diversified. It's a basket of stock that mimics something that's intended to mimic. It could be the S&P 500, could be the Dow, the NASDAQ. It could be financials or technology or healthcare. There's thousands of ETFs. And the cost of them is almost non-existent, very, very low, and they trade like a stock. So you can buy and sell them during the day. You can use those in your retirement account. And the inverse ETFs I mentioned that go the opposite direction of the underlying, there are a number of those which allow you to do pretty much the same thing as shorting, but you can't short again in a retirement account. You can use those inverse ETFs. But one of the things that I think we really should concentrate on is for the people that are thinking about setting up their own retirement account, you want to have the confidence to do it. And that's why we call this show Investing with Confidence. It's what we do. Our education is really built around that fact. We want you to, if you're going to do this, to be able to do it with confidence and comfort. And one of the ways that you do that is to have a plan. You mentioned a rules-based strategy before, Josh. As human beings, we have emotions that are going to get in our way, and part of that, fear is part of that. But if you have a set of rules you follow, a step-by-step process that follows the same steps every time you're doing a trade or investment, and you know that at the end of those steps, this strategy is going to show you whether it's a quality trade, something that you want to put your money into, or if it's not, it will even tell you that. That's a strategy. That is actually a platform that our students use that helps them to qualify a trade. And this is unusual. Nothing else is out there like this, where it will actually tell you if it violates your parameters. If it's a trade that looks like it's not in your best interest, it's going to tell you that. How valuable would that be, and how much confidence would that help give you?
Yeah, that's one of those C words that we like to talk a lot about on the show here is having more confidence in your investing decisions. And it starts with a little bit of education. People sometimes just jump into the financial markets, the stock market, we'll say, without the education. And they're putting their hard-earned money into the market, and it's unfortunate. That's why, when you teach these investing classes, it really helps the beginner, because we get people that come to these investing classes that have never traded before, have never invested before, but they want to learn how. And the great thing is they're doing the smart thing. They're learning how to do it right from the bottom.
Right.
And that's why our sponsor, Online Trading Academy, hosts these investing classes right here in Bloomington. Al, I'm glad you mentioned something a little bit ago. We got the Super Bowl coming up next week. Do you think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers
you get that, folks?
and the Kansas City Chiefs, I think you know who I'm rooting for.
I do.
But do you think they are just, having a good time, still celebrating their conference championship, or do you think they're creating a game plan?
Oh, they definitely a game plan. That is basically what they're doing 24 hours a day now is following a plan.
Yeah.
And they know what part of that plan is trying to identify what the other team is going to do, and then how do you address that?
Yeah.
The same thing is true in investing. That plan is a very important part of what is going to control your emotions, help you down the correct path for you, and it should be specific to you. If Kansas City was playing the Vikings, for example, their plan might be different than it would be for playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Well, they're going to have a running rush defense plan because we have one of the best running backs in the league.
Sure, exactly. So you look at who the opponent is. You don't want to be trading against somebody like a Goldman Sachs trader. You want to be basically following what they're doing. And our core strategy, which is that foundational strategy, really is built around what the pros are doing. We know that because it was built by pros, built by people that actually worked on Wall Street and were actually part of that order flow. And we know that's important. And the most important thing, which most advisors really kind of violate, I think, is the proper price to get into something. That is the most important thing.
It's not time.
It's not
price.
time in the market. It's not just, hey, let's just put your money in the market because it's time in the market. It is timing that entry. And the reason it's so important is that the quality of the price that you enter into something will determine the quality of your protection, your stop loss, for example, and also the quality of the profit potential you have. Those are the three components that are important, but it's price that really is important. And you should be able to, once you have the proper education and you have the skill building that we teach our students or help them to develop, you should be able to put together a trade or investment and then not care about the outcome. How can I say that? You're protected, right? You know that if you're wrong, that you're protected. Your principal is protected. You know that if you're right, your profit is protected. So that's how you develop confidence and comfort. And understand that the market does not just go up. We know that. We've been talking about that. It actually goes down 3 times faster. So if you're missing out on the potential benefits of a down market, you're missing out on maybe a way of providing a benefit 3 times faster when that market is happening. You're only participating in 1 out of 3 ways instead of 3 out of 3 directions, which is what our students do.
I'm glad you brought up that price is the most important piece in trading and investing. It's not time in the market. I mean, think of it this way. A lot of our listeners have probably, I think we've all used coupons, at one point in our life, right?
Sure.
You're trying to get the best price available, right? If there's a price for, let's just say, a pair of shoes, if you can get them on sale, that's the key. And that's what it is in trading and investing. Buy on sale and sell at retail, just like the financial institutions do. But it's how to read a price chart. And you mentioned having a platform where you can see actual price action.
Right.
That does not lie. TV, media, internet, that can all create opinions. And you got to know, where is this source coming from and what is their motive? Are they trying to convince people to do certain things? There's a possibility out there. We don't know that for sure, but there's possibilities. So that's why it's important to make your own decisions in the financial markets, but you got to learn how. Al, let's hit them up. Some great old words of wisdom.
Well, Josh, as human beings, we have a tendency to concentrate too much on obstacles that keep us from succeeding. Those are negative things that actually then become our reality. So how about this? How about not concentrating on those, instead concentrate on the positives? Focus on the only thing you really have control over. That's your efforts. That's your attitude. Remember, it's okay to say, I wish I'd done this before. I wish I'd done it 20 years ago. I wish I'd done things differently. Just make sure that those are words you never repeat again. It's not over. It's just time to start doing something different.
Yeah, you actually reminded me of one of my favorite quotes, and I believe it's from Henry Ford, is obstacles are those frightful things you see when you take your eyes off your goal. Put the blinders on and work towards whatever those goals are. Same time, same place next week. Until then, retire young, my friends.